Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Happy Home School online classes. And also welcome to another recorded session for The Garbage King. Today we will be exploring the themes in the play The Garbage King. Let us begin the session by going over the objectives for today. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to identify and explore the new and recurrent themes present in the play. You will also be able to analyze the importance of these themes in the development of the story and the characters. What is a theme? When we hear the word theme, we are instantly confused. We look for answers. So let us look at the definition of the word theme. A theme could be a moral lesson, a value, a message that is being conveyed by the author through his work of literature. It could be poetry, short story, or in this case, a play. Themes can be conveyed through characters, events, and situations in a play or a novel. In this session, we will explore the different themes that are recurrent throughout the play. Some of the themes in the play The Garbage King are poverty, social deprivation, friendship, family and love, the survival of the fittest, and homelessness. Now let us look at these themes individually and analyze them in detail. The most prominent theme in the play is, of course, poverty. The play opens with Act 1, Scene 1 as Mamo and Tigist struggle to make both ends meet. Tigist is already working at Mrs. Farida's house, but she's really worried about her brother Mamo, who doesn't have a job and he wants to earn some money for himself. But Tigist is afraid that he will be beaten by the elder boys in the street. We feel sorry for these characters as they run around to survive and find food for themselves. Another example of poverty in the play are the many other characters that we see throughout the play. The most prominent being the gang. The gang of street children who are shown as homeless and hopeless represent the many millions of street children in Addis Ababa and around the world who are living on the streets with no food and no roof over their heads. Another very important theme in the play is that of family and friendship. The play begins with a very strong bond between the siblings Mamo and Tigist. They have no parents and they only have each other to look after them. Another unusual bond is the relationship we see between Danny and his father. Danny has both parents. His mother is seriously ill and his father is worried for his wife, but he's also worried for his son who doesn't seem to be interested in his studies. And the only thing Danny wants to do is write stories. This in turn draws a wedge between the father and the son. And we see that they share this unusual relationship where Danny is very afraid of his father and he even decides to run away from home so that he can be away from him, because he realizes that once his mother is gone away for treatment, he will not be able to live alone with his father. A very strong theme of friendship is recurrent throughout the play as Danny and Mamo become friends. Danny comes from a rich, privileged background living in the city of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. On the other hand, we see Mamo, who is struggling to survive, find food, or keep a roof over his head. But once the two boys, both aged 12, meet by accident, they develop a very strong friendship for each other. Their friendship is seen throughout the play at several points as they help each other, support each other, and also protect each other. Even though at the end of the play, Mamo and Danny decide to part ways, they also decide to stay in touch as their friendship is above the levels of rich versus poor and the social class difference between them. We also see a combination of both family and friendship as we explore the gang members. As Danny and Mamo are accepted into the gang, we realize that the poor, underprivileged, and struggling to survive street children are also full of love and affection. They accept Danny and Mamo with open arms, and together they survive through tough times. The gang also helps Mamo avenge Marga, who manipulated him, treated him badly, and sold him away to a farmer. The gang also eventually accepts Danny as he shows his compassion and kindness towards them. A very important theme in the play is also that of social deprivation. Social deprivation is presented to us in two very different ways in the play. On one hand, we see the street children who are treated as a social outcast by the society. On the other hand, we see Danny, who is unable to adjust himself in the rich and luxurious lifestyle that his family lives in. On one hand, we see that Mamo and the street children, along with his friends and his sister, Gatichu, Tigist, are unable to find a respectable place in society as they are treated as if they are some kind of disease, as if they are dangerous. When in reality, we realize that it is the society who is knowingly depriving them of their human basic rights, their right to live, their right to earn, and their right to healthy, delicious food. We see the street children suffering throughout the play as Mamo is forced to look for work once he's left alone by his sister Tigist, who herself had no choice but to move to another city in order to earn some money. We also see Gatichu struggling as he goes to jail for a crime he didn't commit because the police does not trust these children. We also see the bitter reality of money versus poverty. Ruth, with all her wealth and riches, is able to go to London for a very good treatment. However, Karate, on the other hand, dies in the arms of his friends and on the streets as he is unable to afford medical help and care. There is no welfare, and the society does not care about these children dying in the streets every day. It is unusual how Danny, who comes from such a privileged background, does not have any friends and does not have anyone to share his feelings and thoughts and burdens with. It is that gap in his life, that feeling of emptiness, that lack of friendship, that he manages to become such close friends with Mamo. Never in the play do we see Danny comparing himself with Mamo or vice versa. Even though the audience is supposed to compare the two boys, the boys are above all of this as they ignore the social class differences between them and they manage to find common ground as they stay together and help each other. We also see in the play that survival and struggle is constant for these street children. They have to fight and find ways to survive every day, whether it is the diseases that they have to fight, whether it is the human traffickers and kidnappers who want to take advantage of them, whether it is the society who wants to see them work for free and is exploiting these children as child labor increases each day. These street children live under the constant fear of police, strangers, kidnappers, and the society as a whole. Murga in the play does not only represent the people who are kidnapping these street children and selling them away to farmers or people to work for free, but also the society that is choosing to ignore these problems around them. We see street children around us all the time, but we also decide to move past it and ignore it, as we think that we cannot do anything to help them. But for these children, survival of the fittest under these harsh conditions is a choice between living or dying, a choice between life or death. If they do not struggle to survive each day, they will not be alive. Despite the problems and hardships these children face day in and day out, we see that none of these characters really give up. Whether we take the example of Karate, who dies in the streets, but is still happy and joyous before he dies, and spends the night with his friends asking Danny to share a story with him, or whether it is Tigist who has to leave her own brother behind and move to another city in order to earn better money. We also see the gang. The gang is a symbol of hope and optimism in the play for the readers, that despite whatever life throws at them, these children do not give up. So the play ends with a note of hope and optimism for the audience, that despite everything that these children go through, they still stay together and manage to survive. Another thing that survives all of these tough times is Danny and Mamo's friendship. Keeping in mind all the odds, they look past their differences and find common ground. I hope this session was helpful, and then some of the themes are now clear to you after this lesson. Please complete the assignment on Google Classroom after the session. Stay home, stay safe, and Allah Hafiz.